So as you can see by the videos, I clearly know how to defend myself now. I'm obviously not a professional fighter yet, but I am confident that in any situation, I would be able to defend myself.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, hey, oh!
However, this wasn't always the case. I remember the first time I felt helpless. It was in freshman year of high school, and I was in Spain. And I just got in there, I didn't know much Spanish, but I had made a few friends. Granted, I was loud, I was kind of annoying. I was a bit of a, class clown per se. So I probably wouldn't have liked me either. But there was this one guy who, for whatever reason, maybe he was jealous that I talked to his friends, or he was jealous that this girl liked me or whatever. He didn't like me at all, and he would always try and pick on me. Now, mind you, back then I was probably like 110 pounds, piece of shit loser. So one day I'm chilling with my friend, and he just has this knack of messing with me. And he comes up to me at the table I'm sitting at, and he just pushes me off, and he's like, "I'm sitting here." And I'm like, "No, you're not. I'm sitting here." And so he got all aggressive with me, and there was this girl at the side that was like, "Why are you being such a dickhead?" He was sitting there. But I remember feeling helpless. I remember feeling shame. And that's something that I never wanted to feel again. I know you probably feel the same way, or you felt the same way at any time. It's a terrible feeling when someone does an injustice to you, or someone bitches you, and you can't really do anything about it, because what are you gonna do? Nothing. You don't know how to fight, or you're too scared to fight. You don't have that spirit in you. Those feelings stick with you, right? So anyways, the girl diffuses the situation, and I get back in my seat. But I remember it stuck with me for like a week, that entire situation of the guy pushing me off the chair, the girl sticking up for me. The fact that a girl had to stick up for me was what really ate at my ego. The fact that I couldn't stand up for myself and be like, "No, this is my chair. If you want to get in it, do something about it." So that was the first time I started feeling helpless and shameful. There was another time where that same guy and one of his friends pinned me against the wall and were making fun of me, basically. And I remember not being able to tell them to let go and not being able to push them off. And that once again made me feel like a bitch. And most of you probably felt like a bitch before, because it always happens. It's not a good thing, especially for men. I think there was a study that was shown that shame is the worst emotion a human can feel. It is the emotion that makes humans feel the most sadness, the most frustration, everything. When they pushed me on that wall and pinned me on it, I was going through my mind and thinking, how can I get out of this? Can I unpin them? Can I tell them to stop? Can I, punch them? But there was nothing I could do. And I hated it. And I didn't know anything about martial arts then. I was probably 14 or 15. I knew what boxing was, but I barely knew what it was about. So I had no thought of going to a boxing gym. I just sucked it up, Another time, for example, was when I was going to this club in Spain. I know you're gonna think, wow, you're only 15 and you were going to a club. In Spain, there's a big party life, so there's like these clubs where you can go, and it's like a club for minors, right? So I was at this club with some friends, and there was this cute girl that I liked, so I was trying to impress her the whole night, but I didn't know how to talk to girls. This was back when I was a bit shy and a bit nervous. And so I was trying to impress this girl, dancing stuff. I didn't really know what to do. And I remember there was this group of guys that looked like a big gangster, right? And this one guy starts like rubbing my head from behind. And I'm like, what the fuck? And he just keeps rubbing it, like making fun of me, like, he's a pussy. And I didn't know the guy, so I looked behind, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Because I had to laugh because I couldn't really do anything else. Like when you feel like you have to play along with it because you can't stick up for yourself. So I'm laughing, I'm like, what are you doing? And I turn back and he does it again. And thankfully he stopped after. But once again, that same feeling of shame and helplessness crept in. And for the whole night, I was just super ashamed of anyone looking at me. All hopes of talking to that girl had vanished. All hopes of having fun with my friends had vanished. I was just sulking and thinking about how once again I had felt helpless and how I could do nothing about it. If you've ever felt the same way as me, I'm telling you, there is a solution, bro. And it is to learn how to fight. And if that situation or that feeling that you had was bad enough, you'll listen to what I have to say in this video. I didn't really find out about martial arts until I came to Florida and started training in a gym. But I was training weightlifting. And although weightlifting got me some more muscles, right? Now my arms are considerably big, but I'm no, bodybuilder or anything, but I used to be a stick. I still didn't know how to fight, and I still didn't feel confident in my ability to defend myself. I thought I'd feel so much more confident having, more muscle, more mass, but I came from a background of playing basketball. And basketball is all calling fouls, the most rough you get is you push into someone on defense. It wasn't real aggression. So I was scared of aggression. I would run away from aggression. Thankfully, the gym I was going to had an upstairs section that was dedicated to martial arts. Now I go to UFC Fit, which is, I don't know if you know, but it's like a UFC, the fight organization. It's a chain gym. And they have weights on the bottom, and on the top they have bags and everything and classes you can take. So me and my friend one day were lifting weights, and we had been seeing that there was people upstairs doing martial arts, and it never really caught my eye. But one day I decided to check it out, because why not? So we finished lifting, we go upstairs, and I just see a bunch of people. Some people are amateurs doing classes, some people are really fucking good. And I was like, why don't we give it a try? And we didn't know at first, but I remember looking back to those feelings of helplessness and being ashamed and being insecure. And I was like, if this can solve that feeling so I never have to feel that again, I will 1000% do that. So we didn't know anything, my friend and I, but we started rolling, which is like grappling. We searched up on YouTube how to grapple or whatever. And it was fun. It was fun. It was competitive. Obviously, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. It was terrible, horrible. But we had fun. I started training more and more. I would hit the bag. I got my first pair of shitty boxing gloves. They were all broken up. My friend actually gave them to me, so shout out to him. And I started slowly but surely gaining more confidence. That feeling of helplessness was slowly going away. Now, I had no idea that I knew absolutely nothing about fighting, and I was still trash. When you're a beginner and you start fighting for the first 2 months, you think you're hot shit. You're like,
yeah, now I know how to fight. I'll beat anyone's ass.
That's the more you fight and the more you progress and the better you get, you realize you know nothing about fighting. It's like that quote from Einstein, the only thing I know is that I know nothing. Well, same with fighting. It's such an intricate sport, and there's so much to it that the more you progress, you just realize there's so much more to learn, which is the beauty of it. But I was probably 2 months into training, literally just hitting the heavy bag with terrible form, and I thought I could fight. And then a trainer came along, and he taught me that I didn't know how to fight. He asked me to spar one day, and I said, yeah, why not? And then I realized what fighting is actually about. The dude beat the living shit out of me. I'm talking, he flipped me over, did takedowns, ground and pound, jab, jab, cross. I didn't know what was going on. And that's when I realized there is levels to this fighting game. So that's when I took training more seriously. I started learning some kickboxing. I started watching a bunch of videos on boxing form. Now keep in mind, my form was still ass because I had no coach and I was on heavy bag. So I didn't know things like distance management, etc. You get the point. But I humbled myself and I took the time to actually learn the specifics on how to fight. I then started sparring more and I saw some progress. It wasn't huge, but I saw some progress. I started rolling for jiu-jitsu. And one day I was hitting the bag and this guy who's 50, I'm hitting the bag and he comes along beside me and he's like, well, in Cuban, I mean Spanish, because he's Cuban. He's like, hey, you want to train? And I realized he was a coach, but I was broke, so I had no money. So I'm like, oh no, bro, sorry. I can't afford personal training. He's like, no, don't worry. Just I'll hit the pads with you a bit. And I'm like, okay, let's see if he scams me or something. So I started hitting pads with him, and quickly I realized how bad my form was. It seems like every single punch I throw, he's correcting me in something. But by the time I was done hitting pads with him for 30 minutes, obviously I was super tired because I had no conditioning either. But I realized, wow, I learned a lot that I didn't think I needed to learn. So that guy ended up being my coach. Great guy, great fighter. And now I'm at a point where not only do I know how to strike decently well, definitely for street fights, I know how to grapple a bit. I'm slowly learning more of each striking and grappling. And I now can confidently say that I've tested and proven with sparring that I can defend myself. It has been a long process, and I still have a lot to learn because in a street fight, anything can happen. You can be training for 4 years and someone will get a lucky punch and knock you out. Now, for that not to happen, you have to train a lot. I train 5 days a week and I put a lot of hours into this. So I progressed quickly. I've only been doing this for about 9, 10 months and only 4 months with a coach, but I've progressed decently quickly and I've trained with high level guys, pro boxers, even world champion boxer, wrestlers, etc. And each time I realize more that although I do know how to defend myself now, I wouldn't know what the fuck to do against one of those guys. And that builds my insecurity, which is not insecurity anymore. It's just being humble. It makes me realize that I need to progress and progress and progress. And it's turned into this addiction where I want to see how much of a human weapon I can become. But the good news is that insecurity that I felt when they pinned me against the wall, that helplessness I felt when that guy pushed me out of the chair, the shame I felt when the dude was patting me on my head like a dog, it is all left and it will never come back because now I can stick up for myself and I know how to fight. So I encourage you, if you felt these same things as me, if you're maybe going through it right now, to get in a gym at ASAP. I don't care if it's boxing, jiu-jitsu, MMA preferably, and learn how to fight. It will not only build your confidence, but it will build you in areas that you didn't even know mattered in life. So go out there and go train, bro. See you.